It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Machiavelli wrote these words to remind rulers that affection is fragile, but fear commands respect. The truth is this: the need to be liked is a hidden chain, and the one who wears it kneels before the crowd. You cannot sit upon your own throne while begging the mob to approve your every move. Approval seeking looks harmless, but in reality it is political suicide of the self. Picture a king bowing to peasants, waiting for their applause before he issues an order. Imagine a predator rolling onto its back, exposing its throat so the herd feels comfortable. That is what you do when you soften your decisions, when you hesitate to speak the truth, when you trade command for comfort. Every time you bend, you dethrone yourself. The enemy must be named clearly. Approval seeking is a silent assassin. It does not strike with noise, but with constant erosion. It teaches you to apologize for existing, to explain when no explanation is needed, to value smiles more than sovereignty. And once you surrender to that, you no longer lead, you perform. Kill the urge to please in small acts. Do not check who liked your post first thing in the morning. Do not over-explain why you said no. Do not wait for applause before you move. These are not small details, they are daily battles for your crown. Win them or lose everything. When someone disagrees with you, hold the line without anger. Do not beg them to like you. State your reasoning calmly, let silence carry the weight, and move on. This is how a sovereign responds. Firm, steady, unbent, weak. I hope you're not upset with me. Strong, this is my decision. The general who waits for cheers before charging is already defeated. The leader who asks the crowd for permission to command is no leader at all, and the man or woman who needs constant approval is not sovereign. They are enslaved by the mob. Take back the throne of your own mind. Refuse to kneel. Refuse to beg. Refuse to let the assassin of approval rule you. Say this line to yourself until it is carved into your bones. The crown cannot bow. The mind is a throne, and whoever occupies it rules every choice you make. If the need to be liked sits there, you are no king, no sovereign, no commander. You are a puppet, dressed in royal robes, while strings pull your every motion. The greatest enemy is not always an external force, but the usurper within, the craving for approval that whispers constantly in your ear. This false king is subtle. It convinces you that pleasing others keeps you safe, that being agreeable shields you from conflict. But what it truly does is weaken your crown. Every time you bend your will to be accepted, you hand the throne to the crowd. You let them write your commands, direct your movements, and judge your worth. Sovereignty dies the moment you let applause dictate your actions. History makes this lesson clear. Machiavelli observed rulers who tried to be loved above all else. They often lost everything. A prince who depended on affection alone discovered that loyalty dissolved as soon as fortune turned. Men, he wrote, more quickly forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony. That insight reveals how quickly people abandon sentiment when their interests shift. If you rule for their approval, you stand on sand, not stone. Your throne demands iron. It cannot be shared, and it cannot be split between you and the mob. A king who tries to please everyone rules no one. A mind that tries to serve every opinion serves nothing. You must decide who governs your disciplined judgment or the fleeting mood of others. There is no balance here, only rule or ruin. Practice this in daily moments. When a colleague disagrees with your idea, do not rush to soften it or seek approval. State your reasoning firmly, with calm clarity, then let it stand. Weak. Maybe you're right, I'm not sure my idea works. Strong. I believe this direction makes sense, and here is why. You show respect without surrender. You remain sovereign. Your thoughts are the fortress. Guard the gates. Kill the usurper before it places a crown on its head. Refuse to yield your throne to whispers of approval or fear of rejection. Rule yourself with iron, or be ruled by others without mercy. Say it and remember it. Only one sits upon the throne. The morning is the first battlefield, and if you lose there, you fight the rest of the day in retreat. The enemy is subtle. It lures you into reaching for your phone before you have even risen, scrolling for approval, counting reactions as if they were coins in a begging bowl. That act feels small, but it signals defeat. You have already surrendered command of your throne. You allowed the mob into your chamber before you even sharpened your sword. Begin your day like that, and you are no sovereign. You are a servant waiting for orders disguised as compliments. You must see clearly what is happening. Every like, every comment, every notification is a tiny leash tugging at your attention. It conditions you to wait for applause before you move, to measure your worth by numbers that shift with the winds of the crowd. Do not start your morning asking the mob for permission to exist. Guard your dawn as a general guards his camp before battle. History shows us the difference. Roman generals did not rise to beg for praise. They began with rituals that prepared the mind for command. Some prayed, some trained their bodies, some planned a strategy before addressing anyone. Their mornings were fortresses of discipline, not markets for approval. Machiavelli studied these patterns because he knew fortune bends toward those who seize the initiative. The leader who begins the day with order holds the advantage before the first arrow flies. Your own version must follow the same principle. Command your morning before the crowd reaches you. Sit in silence, read, train, write, walk. Build a fortress of intention before you expose yourself to noise. Win privately before you ever face the public square. A king who polishes his crown in solitude rules with more strength than one who begs the peasants to cheer him awake. Treat this choice as life and death for your sovereignty. Every morning is an invasion. If you let the mob into your gates at dawn, they will rule you all day. If you hold them back until you are armed, they will bow. The crowd cannot set the tone. You must. The crown must never wake begging. Engrave this command into your mind. Victory begins in silence. Stillness is a weapon. Noise is a distraction. The predator that survives is not the one who begs the herd for attention, but the one who waits. Silent, unshaken, invisible until the strike. Lions do not ask for applause from gazelles. They crouch in tall grass, unmoving, watching, conserving energy until the moment of inevitability. That is how you must treat your own silence. Do not use it in your absence. Use it as sharpened steel. The sovereign who controls stillness becomes untouchable because he cannot be baited by noise. The greatest thinkers understood this long before the modern age. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations to retreat inward and find strength in solitude. Machiavelli observed power not as a matter of constant display, but of deliberate timing. Nietzsche retreated into isolation to write works that challenged entire civilizations. Withdrawal was not weakness for them, it was the forge where iron minds were hammered into shape. They knew that sovereignty does not come from constant exposure. It comes from commanding when you appear and when you vanish. In your life, the opposite force surrounds you. The modern world conditions you to signal non-stop. Post, reply, like, share. Every tap is a performance. Every silence feels like absence. But that is the trap. You are being trained to believe that if you are not visible, you do not exist. That lie dethrones you. The mob then rules your time, your focus, your sense of self. To reclaim the crown, you must reverse the reflex. Withhold your need to signal. Step back from the noise. Let absence become your ally. When disagreement arises, test the strength of stillness. Imagine someone challenging your stance in public. Weak, I just wanted to make sure we're okay. Strong, say nothing for a beat. Hold your composure, then state calmly, this is my position. That pause carries more force than any rush justification. Silence reveals control. Words without control reveal desperation. Treat stillness as armor and as a sword. Do not be dragged into every conversation. Do not respond instantly to every demand. Command silence the way a king commands his guard. Hold it, deploy it, and let others feel its weight. The crowd cannot own you if they cannot move you. The predator cannot be cornered if it refuses to chase noise. The throne remains secure when the sovereign chooses when to speak. Etch this law into your mind. Silence is sovereignty. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Machiavelli's words cut like a blade, and the blade is the image you must carry. To kill the need to be liked, you do not debate with weakness. You assassinate it. Ideas alone will not liberate you. Habits must die. Approval-seeking hides in small gestures that rot sovereignty. Every needless apology, every forced laugh, every self-deprecating remark is weakness disguised as humility. Every time you flatter to earn safety, you hand your knife to another man and beg him to use it. Think like an assassin who moves with precision. The first strike is awareness. Notice the language that bends your spine. Weak, sorry, I just wanted to check. Strong, here is my decision. Weak, if that's okay with everyone. Strong, this is what I stand by. Every word you soften to keep the peace bleeds authority from your throne. The assassin's knife must cut those reflexes before they grow into chains. History offers brutal lessons. Rulers who drowned themselves in flattery became prisoners of their own courts. Roman emperors who allowed yes-men to circle them soon discovered betrayal when storms rose. Machiavelli himself warned that flatterers are poison, and that a wise ruler surrounds himself with those who tell the truth, not those who worship him. The purge of false approval was not cruelty, it was survival. To keep command, a sovereign eliminates parasites early and decisively. In your own life, ruthlessness must be inward first. The kill ritual is a private act of discipline. Every time you catch yourself seeking approval, imagine pressing the throat of that reflex against the stone and cutting it clean. Do not negotiate with it. Do not argue with it. Kill it. If you say no to an invitation you do not want, you just slit the throat of weakness. If you refuse to explain a boundary beyond one clear statement, you assassinate another chain. Each denial is blood on the floor. Over time, you carve a reputation of unshakable presence, not because you sought to be feared, but because you refused to be owned. Consider disagreement. Someone says, I don't like the way you handled that. Weak, I'm sorry, I just wanted you to be comfortable. Strong, a calm pause then. This was my choice. No defense, no scramble, no begging. The knife is silent. The strike is clarity. Approval dies in the stillness of your composure. You cannot half commit to this path. The sovereign who leaves enemies half alive eventually faces rebellion. The same is true for weakness. Every habit of apology, every reflex of flattery, every joke at your own expense must be cut out with the same merciless precision a general shows when purging traitors. Do not hesitate, do not delay. You cannot be both assassin and servant. Every cut makes you cleaner. Every kill makes you freer. What remains is not cruelty, but command. The man who no longer begs to be liked rules not others, but himself. Etch this into your mind. Approval dies, sovereignty lives. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Machiavelli understood that leadership is theatre. The sovereign may feel storms within, but the court only sees the mask. In war, the general does not show trembling hands before the troops. In politics, the ruler cannot confess uncertainty before rivals. Power is half iron, half performance. The mask does not lie. It shields. It projects stability when chaos churns inside. Without it, you bleed authority in the same way a wounded soldier bleeds on the battlefield, instantly and visibly. The theater of power is unavoidable. Every empire has relied on the pageantry of command, uniforms, rituals, ceremony, and language meant to project dominance. Ancient Rome displayed triumphal processions to solidify imperial presence. Medieval kings staged coronations to declare legitimacy. In each case, the audience mattered as much as the act itself. Authority is not only built by victories in war, but by the image of composure, dignity, and command. A sovereign who publicly revealed fear or insecurity invited rivals to pounce. Even today, a leader's calm stance under pressure often determines whether allies hold the line or flee. Modern life is no different. Every interaction is an arena, every room a stage. When you walk into a meeting, step into an interview, or confront disagreement, eyes scan you for signals of strength or weakness. The person who hesitates, fidgets, or seeks approval communicates surrender without words. Weak, sorry, I just think maybe. Strong, here is my position. Weak, nervous laughter to soften tension. Strong, calm silence that forces others to adjust. Weak, over-explaining. Strong, concise clarity. In social dynamics, weakness is not forgiven. It is priced into how you are treated. Those who bleed approval invite manipulation. Those who stand behind the mask create gravity. The mask must become armor. You do not wear it to deceive, but to defend. Inner storms will always rage. Anxiety, doubt, the temptation to appease. None of these deserve public display. Contain them. Build an inner chamber where they can burn unseen. Outwardly, maintain the sovereign mask. Stillness, eye contact, measured words. A simple ritual can anchor it. Straighten posture, slow breath. Let silence carry weight. Each time you hold the mask in place, you reinforce your throne. Consider the micro battle of disagreement. A colleague challenges your idea in public. The weak response is to stumble, rush, or over-justify. The strong response is calm acknowledgement and unshaken presence. I see your point. Here is why I stand where I do. No apology for existing. No scramble for approval, only clarity. The mask holds. The room registers steadiness. Even if opposition continues, you remain untouchable because composure is armor no one can pierce. Command demands both steel and theater. Never confuse authenticity with unfiltered display. Your feelings are private soldiers. They serve you, not the crowd. Keep them disciplined. Let the mask carry your authority while your inner storms remain your own. Stand tall, project strength, and remember the sovereign principle: image is not vanity. Image is survival. Wear the mask until it becomes your face. Inside you must carry a blade, not the steel of armies, but a weapon forged in silence, sharpened against the soft flesh of your own weakness. The urge to be liked is not a guest you host, not a thought you entertain, not a plea you weigh with reason. It is an intruder. The sovereign who bargains with it loses his throne. The assassin within you must act with speed. No trial, no debate, no indulgence. The moment the impulse arises, kill it. This is not cruelty toward yourself. It is mercy for your future. Machiavelli wrote that men more quickly forget the death of their father than the loss of their patrimony. Leaders, he observed, understood this truth and struck mercilessly against betrayal. History shows that hesitation is what ruins kings. Caesar ignored warnings, trusted charm, and was cut down. The Medici crushed conspiracies before they spread. Strength lies not in waiting, but in swift action. Approval seeking is the smallest betrayal, but it grows like rot if spared. You must treat it as an act of treason inside your own walls. Discipline in this frame becomes violence turned inward. Each time you silence the reflex to explain yourself, you have executed a traitor. Each time you refuse to chase validation, you have carried out a purge. Weak. Do you still respect me? Strong. I respect myself. Weak. Please understand me. Strong. I am clear enough. Weak. I hope this offends no one. Strong. Truth stands without apology. These swaps are not polite adjustments. They are executions. In practice, this looks like restraint when others provoke. A colleague undermines you in a meeting. The weak man lunges to win back the room's affection. The sovereign holds the blade inward, kills the hunger for applause, and speaks with measured clarity. We disagree, but the work speaks for itself. No panic, no pleading. The assassin strikes silently, leaving you composed. In that moment, you are untouchable because you did not kneel to approval. To live this way demands vigilance. The assassin does not sleep. You will feel the urge tomorrow, and the day after, and every week until the end. Do not treat it as something to cure. Treat it as something to kill each time it returns. 1,000 small deaths of weakness make one strong sovereign. Do not mistake restraint for passivity. The assassin's blade is invisible, but it is relentless. This is how you fortify the throne. Swift execution of the impulse, reverence for merciless discipline, and the refusal to beg. Approval is not the oxygen you need. It is the poison you must cut out. Strike the weakness before it speaks. 2 wolves live inside you. One starves for approval, begging for likes, recognition, and the shallow comfort of applause. The other feeds on sovereignty, devouring each moment you choose dignity over validation. Only one will rule your inner kingdom. Which one survives depends on which one you feed. Modern life has weaponized your brain's own reward system against you. Each ping, like, and fleeting word of praise releases dopamine. That rush is not strength. It is a chain. It conditions you to beg for more. The weak wolf grows fat on this diet of crumbs. Every time you check your phone compulsively or measure your worth by external approval, you kneel. This is not freedom. It is a subtle form of slavery, where you are trained like prey, not crowned like a sovereign. The choice is brutal but clear. Feed the predator that serves your throne, starve the one that undermines it. Do not pretend you can negotiate balance. One must die so the other can reign. If you nourish the wolf of sovereignty, each refusal to seek applause becomes meat in its jaws. Each act of restraint makes it stronger, sharper, hungrier for independence. The wolf that feeds on sovereignty is the ally of kings. The wolf that feeds on approval is the accomplice of slaves. Practical fasting is your weapon. Starve the weak wolf daily. Resist posting only to harvest praise. Resist explaining yourself when silence is enough. Resist the easy hit of being agreeable just to avoid disapproval. Weak. Do you still like me? Strong. I know where I stand. Weak. I'll do whatever you prefer. Strong. This is the course I choose. Weak. I hope this pleases everyone. Strong. It is not my duty to please. Language is fuel. Feed the predator that strengthens you, not the one that strips you bare. When conflict arises, the weak wolf lunges first. Someone challenges your decision. The weak impulse is to soften, to adjust, to bend for approval. The strong impulse is different. You look them in the eye, steady, unshaken, and say, "I hear your view, but my position stands." Calm, firm, final. The sovereign wolf eats quietly, leaving no scraps for weakness. The discipline feels harsh, because you are training an apex predator to dominate your inner terrain. Each time you refuse validation, you drive the weak wolf closer to starvation. Each time you choose sovereignty, you sharpen the teeth of strength. Sovereignty is not a single meal, it is a lifelong diet. Approval is addictive sugar. Sovereignty is iron-rich meat. Feed the right wolf, and it will guard your throne for life. Starve weakness. Feed sovereignty. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Machiavelli's reminder is not a call to cruelty, but a recognition of how power truly functions. Life is a chessboard, and on this board, approval seekers move like pawns, while sovereigns move like kings. Pawns advance hoping to be noticed. Kings move only to survive and to rule. The pawn longs for applause. The king calculates position. This is the difference between weakness and sovereignty. The pawn's weakness lies in its dependency. It moves predictably, desperate to reach the far side of the board, where, if lucky, it may transform into something greater. But its journey is fragile, and its existence expendable. The pawn is the one who speaks only to be liked, who acts only to be seen. Such behavior is easy to manipulate because it is predictable. If you live like a pawn, the board owns you. Contrast that with rulers who understood the board itself. Otto von Bismarck, the Iron Chancellor of Germany, was not admired for charm, but for calculation. He unified a fragmented nation, not by pleasing rivals, but by positioning himself with precision. Machiavelli's princes were taught the same. Do not depend on affection, for affection fades. Depends on power, for position holds. History rewards the strategist, not the pleaser. This principle applies directly to your modern life. Reputation is not built on the hollow applause of the crowd, but on the solidity of consistent moves. Each decision is a piece advanced, a structure formed, a defense secured. Strong leaders build positions that cannot be ignored, even by those who dislike them. Weak leaders beg for attention and vanish once approval shifts elsewhere. To live like a sovereign, you must play position, not emotion. That means refusing to justify every step when challenged. A colleague may press you for explanations, hoping to pull you into endless debate. The pawn instinct is to scramble for approval, to explain until the other smiles. The sovereign response is firm and economical. I have considered it, and this is my decision. No apology, no excess. Calm authority holds its ground without theatrics. Language reveals whether you play as a pawn or as a king. Weak. I hope this makes everyone happy. Strong. This move aligns with my strategy. Weak. Do you think I made the right choice? Strong. I stand by my choice. Weak. I just wanted to be liked. Strong. Respect is earned through strength, not begging. These shifts are not cosmetic. They are structural. They feed the position of a king. Your task is not to eliminate emotion, but to prevent emotion from dictating moves. On the chessboard of life, approval is the least reliable currency. It can be given today and withdrawn tomorrow. Position, however, is durable. Build competence, build reputation through consistency, build a fortress of results. Play the board, not the crowd. Move like a king, never like a pawn. Steel is not forged in comfort, It is hammered in fire, quenched in cold, and tested in battle. The same law applies to your will. If you want a mind immune to the hunger for applause, you must treat discipline not as an idea, but as ritual. Ritual is the furnace where weakness is burned and strength is shaped. Without ritual, resolve drifts like smoke. With ritual, resolve hardens like iron. The Spartans understood this truth better than most civilizations. Their young were not raised with praise or constant affirmation. They were sent into hardship, stripped of comforts, forced to endure hunger, cold, and pain. They were conditioned to fight without applause and to suffer without pity. This was not cruelty for its own sake. It was training the will to bend to command, not to desire. A boy who survives on little food learns that strength is found within, not from the approval of others. By the time a Spartan stood in the phalanx, he had already mastered himself through ritualized hardship. This principle remains timeless. The world cannot shake a man who has rehearsed suffering until it becomes routine. In the modern age, luxury has replaced trial, but you can reforge yourself through deliberate acts of asceticism. Cold showers remind you that comfort is a drug. Fasting teaches you that hunger cannot command you. Silence and solitude prove that you do not need validation to exist with dignity. These are not punishments, they are daily battles in which you train your will to remain unbroken. Each time you deny an impulse, you place another brick on the fortress wall around your throne. Approval seekers chase warmth and noise. Sovereigns embrace cold and silence because that is where their power grows. Every ritual is more than discipline. It is an oath. Each time you endure what others flee, you hammer a crown onto your own skull. The ritual becomes your declaration of sovereignty. I rule myself. Without ritual, your will is soft, fragile, subject to the tides of emotion. With ritual, your will becomes iron, unyielding to the waves of criticism or the absence of praise. When a peer questions why you deny yourself, you do not defend or explain. You simply hold the line, calm and immovable, showing that your authority does not bend to inquiry. That is leadership, not loud justification, but silent proof carved into your habits. The battlefield of willpower is private, but its victories are public. You will not need to announce your strength. People will sense it. The man who has conquered hunger, cold, and silence will not tremble before disapproval. He has already faced harsher enemies within himself. The ritual is not about punishment, but about sovereignty. Sovereignty over your appetites, your impulses, and above all, the need to be liked. Each act of deliberate hardship declares your independence from the world's approval. Steal your mornings with trial. Deny yourself comfort by choice. Embrace silence where others beg for noise. Do this daily, not as an experiment, but as your law. Over time, the rituals you carve will carve you back into something unbreakable. Ritual is the forge where your crown is hammered. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. With those words, Machiavelli stripped away sentiment and revealed the iron principle of sovereignty. Affection is fleeting, but utility endures. The sovereign who survives is not the one adored by all, but the one untouchable, seated on a throne no crowd can topple. This stage of mastery is not coldness for its own sake. It is the forging of a mind that moves untouched by praise or insult, unmoved by the clamor of the mob. To become untouchable is to make yourself a fortress that no arrow of opinion can pierce. Detachment is not indifference to life itself, but the disciplined refusal to place your crown in the hands of others. Machiavelli taught that a ruler is preserved, not by being loved, but by being useful, decisive, and necessary. When you act from this ground, no shifting mood of the people can unseat you. Their approval may come or vanish, but your throne stands because it is built on action, not affection. Learn to weigh choices as a commander weighs troops, not as a pleaser counts smiles. The court may whisper, but the sovereign listens only to the cold logic of survival and strategy. In the modern battlefield, this principle is sharper than ever. The digital age rewards outrage, mockery, and shame. Those addicted to approval collapse under waves of comments, likes, and attacks. But those who cannot be shamed or swayed dominate. The untouchable do not chase applause. They stand still while the crowd storms past, and in that stillness lies power. Consider the contrast. Weak. I hope they understand me. Strong. I will be clear, and they may take it or leave it. Weak. I need them to agree. Strong. Agreement is optional. My course is set. Language reveals allegiance, either to the mob or to the throne. Imagine yourself on the digital chessboard. Every move invites scrutiny. You will be mocked for restraint and condemned for aggression. But the untouchable player is unbroken. He expects the jeers, he calculates them into the strategy, and he continues to advance. You cannot wound what does not hinge on approval. This is why leaders, thinkers, and creators who build their foundations on discipline rather than popularity outlast the storms. They turn criticism into weather, noticed, endured, but never obeyed. There will be moments when others challenge you face to face. Someone may accuse you, hoping to provoke defensiveness. The untouchable sovereign does not argue or beg. You answer once with calm clarity, then you return to silence. By not wrestling in the mud, you remain above it. Indifference is not weakness, but supreme control, the ability to conserve energy for decisive strikes rather than wasting it on noise. To practice this state, crown yourself daily with the ritual of detachment. Begin by noticing when your body flinches at disapproval, when your pulse rises at praise. In those moments, remind yourself, the throne does not tremble for whispers. Train your mind as you trained your will with hardship. Treat approval as a passing wind, never a foundation stone. The throne you seek must float above the arrows, untouchable, unassailable, serene in its height. This is the final armor. The mind that no insult can poison, the spirit that no flattery can corrupt. When you kill the need to be liked, you do not become cruel, you become free, and freedom is the true crown of sovereignty. Hold this mantra: no crowd commands my throne. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. With that truth, the crown hardens. This is the final form, the unbending crown, immune to the mob, untouchable to flattery, unmoved by disapproval. Every principle forged until now converges into one sovereign figure, who rules not by applause, but by command of self. Approval once dangled as bait, but you cut the line. You no longer chase, you dictate. All weapons are assembled. Stillness keeps your emotions hidden from the hungry eyes of critics. The mask shields your true intent, letting you play roles without surrendering your core. The assassin's discipline removes distractions before they grow into weakness. The wolf feeds on sovereignty, never on the scraps of validation. The grandmaster calculates moves, not for temporary cheers but for enduring checkmate. These are not scattered skills. Together they form a system. A kingdom built on this system cannot be toppled by gossip, trending outrage, or whispers in the crowd. Each principle was a blade, now they fuse into armor. On the battlefield of modern life, this fusion is not theory. Online mobs rise and collapse daily. A single misstep can turn admiration into ridicule in seconds. Many fold under this pressure because they live as servants of approval. Their crown rests in the hands of the audience, and with one swipe it is stolen. But those who kill the need to be liked cannot be disarmed. They may lose applause, but they keep sovereignty. The herd shouts, but their throne does not tremble. In the digital court, the predator is the one who cannot be shamed into retreat. Picture the predator of the court. While others bow, seeking acceptance, you sit on the throne, unbending. You neither beg nor apologize for existing. You are useful where it matters, and silent where it does not. People respect those who cannot be moved by pressure. Even when they dislike you, they sense weight in your presence. The predator does not chase the herd. The herd bends around the predator's ground. That is the law of sovereignty. Power does not run after affection. It commands position. The stakes are absolute. Bow to approval and your strength dissolves. You become predictable, pliable, an easy piece to sacrifice on the chessboard of others. Kill the need to be liked, and everything sharpens. You gain time, because you are no longer consumed with rehearsing approval. You gain presence, because your words carry weight when you do not dilute them for comfort. You gain freedom, because no crowd owns your choices. In strategy and survival, this is the decisive kill. Consider a moment of disagreement. Someone challenges your plan with contempt. The weak impulse is to defend frantically, to win back their liking. Instead, you stay still. You say, "I hear you," but the direction stands. No raised voice, no scramble. The exchange ends with your crown intact, because you refuse to trade command for approval. That is the predator's posture. Steady, silent, final. Language is also a weapon. Approval seekers reveal themselves through weak speech. Weak. "I hope this is okay." Strong. "This is the course I've chosen." Weak. "Do you still like me after this?" Strong. "I stand by my decision." Weak. "Please understand me." Strong. "This is where I stand." Each word either bends your crown or hardens it. Speak as if your throne is permanent, not on loan from the crowd. You now see the crown clearly. It is unbending, above arrows of opinion, immune to storms of praise or blame. It cannot be bought by flattery, nor stolen by anger. It rests on the head of the one who has slaughtered the craving for approval and reforged themselves into a sovereign predator of the court. The path is not easy, but it is final. You do not beg, you do not kneel, you do not explain, you reign. Kill approval, rule forever, kneel to no one. A throne is not given, it is taken. Approval is not the crown, sovereignty is. You have spent too long bending your neck to the mob, begging for their nods and fearing their disapproval. That life is over. From this moment you rise. Picture yourself in a hall of shadows, a single crown resting on stone. No hand offers it. No crowd applauds. It waits for you alone. Step forward, lift it with steady hands, place it upon your own head. Whisper to yourself, "I do not need to be liked. I need to be sovereign." Swear this oath. I will not kneel before the crowd. Their cheers do not strengthen me. Their jeers do not weaken me. I will rule myself with the iron of stillness, the mask of composure, the blade of refusal, the eyes of a predator. I will not beg to be chosen. I will choose myself. Every time the old reflex calls me to soften my stance, I will kill it. Every time fear tempts me to dilute my truth, I will kill it. Every time I crave approval as if it were air, I will remind myself approval is poison disguised as water. I will drink from my own well. In the moments when I am tested, I will stand firm. If challenged, I will not scramble for agreement. Weak. Please don't be upset. Strong. I understand your view, and I stand by mine. This is how sovereignty speaks. Calm, unbent, commanding without cruelty. I vow to make silence my ally and self-respect my fortress. I vow to defend my time, my focus, and my throne from every attempt to own me. I vow to treat my life as a kingdom, not for sale, not for rent, not for auction to the highest bidder of approval. I do not serve the mob. I do not beg the herd. I do not surrender my crown for comfort. I am the king who crowns himself, and I swear this until my last breath. I do not need to be liked. I need to be sovereign.